Let's go instead to our caller from the 248 area code. Who's calling today from 248?
Hi, David. My name is Julian Ellis.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good. So I actually work in the Boston area now. So I'm like originally from Michigan. So yeah, it's nice to talk to a local Boston now.
Good. What's on your mind?
Uh, I just wanted your opinion on kind of how news is being shared differently now compared to like our parents' age, where they got their information from MSNBC or like Fox News. My parents are really like into CNN and MSNBC. Uh, what do you think of like the new progressive left voice rising on YouTube? While it kind of seems like the right already it did have a voice with like Steven Crowder, Joe Rogan, and stuff like that. A lot of my friends are into Joe Rogan and like find his views on things very casual, like moderate, I guess, in a sense.
Hmm.
So do you feel like that kind of has a leg up, where if you kind of mention to people, hey, I listen to David Pakman or like the Rational National or the Young Turks, they're kind of like, oh, it's like too far left, too extreme. Like, do you
I
see that
mean, listen, I
changing, or
think
like do you
for
see
the
that as a
most
problem
part,
right now?
none of us individually have the name recognition where there is an immediate connotation for bringing up, oh, I listen to David Pakman or whoever else. I mean, I think what's important to understand is that the right. So if you go back and look at a lot of the academic literature about AM radio and talk radio, the right effectively had a monopoly on that platform from the get-go because structurally and because of the relationship with regulators and the FCC, basically AM talk radio was almost completely right wing and religious for a very, very long time. So one thing that we have to sort of disabuse ourselves of is the idea that because a platform is dominated or appears to be dominated by one side now, the idea that that platform is indefinitely going to be the agenda setting platform. I think, we would all agree that now the internet has sort of taken a lot of that power from AM radio and that things do change over time. Nothing stays the same. So that's one thing just to understand. So when we talk about what's going on right now on YouTube and internet media, it doesn't mean that it's what's going to be going on in a few years. Now, I would sort of challenge your contention that being said, that the right has had this big advantage on YouTube and online from the beginning. Podcasting, the genesis of podcasting, I believe, was much more a progressive minded platform than it was right wing, although there are plenty of important and big right wing podcasts. And I think on YouTube, it's an open question as to whether the left or the right is dominating. If you look at number of channels, you might get one answer. If you look at total audience size, you might get a different answer. So I think that's really a question right now.
Yeah, I guess it's just kind of like the big names for like Joe Rogan and Steven Crowder with their millions of subscribers, and kind of besides the Young Turks, I don't really see other lefty voices that kind of have such a widespread audience. That's
Sure.
why
I
it
mean,
kind
I
of came to
think
my
there's
head,
a
but
couple
I
things to
do
understand
understand.
with that. But one is that a lot of the lefty channels are growing. I mean, but Kyle Kalinske and I are both on track to hit, 1 million subscribers in the not
Yeah,
crazy,
for sure.
crazy future. And so that's definitely going to be a change. Sam Cedar's channel is also doing really well. But I think it's also important to understand that there are channels that are and people who are really big, not because they necessarily have developed those audiences organically, but because they have been significantly pushed by significant funding from entities. And that is much more common on the right than it is on the left. So I think we just have to really look at those numbers with a grain of salt and really kind of understand the broader context in which they exist. But here's the question I would have for you. Either way, like, we can't control how many people are following right wingers online. I think you would agree all we can do is do the best content possible as lefties and get as many people to be listening to us and watching us as possible. We can't control what they do, but we can control what we do.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess it's just kind of it's hard when everyone kind of sees Joe Rogan or like Steven Crowder just like joking to like cool guys that have like fun views. They smoke weed and everything. But it's
I
hard
don't
to be
think
like,
Crowder
you
smokes
should
weed. I think
listen.
that was a big argument, in fact, with Rogan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just for Joe, like that's like kind of like, he's like a chill guy with some right wing views or ideas. But like, it's kind of hard to say, hey, check out like this David Pakman clip to people who are in that sphere. And it's just kind of like, I guess it's just worrisome that like people find Joe Rogan more like the norm I see when talking to people instead of like some of the other voices I hear on YouTube. So that's kind of like where my question came from originally. But I do
I
see your
gotcha.
point from what you've been saying about how
Yeah.
there are more
I mean, there's no
voices growing in
question Rogan
everything,
is
for sure.
definitely seen as sort of like the everyman, and you can kind of get behind a lot of what he says because he's just kind of like another guy next door that you're talking to. The truth is,
Yeah.
the majority of Rogan's views are pretty much left-wing views, but they're presented in a style in which it's less obvious, and then every once in a while he will drop in something that seems kind of right-wing. Okay, thank you for the call. Really appreciate hearing from you. Great to hear from callers in the Boston area, and hope to hear from you again in the future.